Abraham Lincoln was born in Hodgenville, Kentucky. Lincoln grew up on the western frontier in Kentucky and Indiana. Largely self-educated, he became a lawyer in Illinois, a Whig Party leader, and was elected to the Illinois House of Representatives, in which he served for 8 years. In 1858, while taking part in a series of highly publicized debates with his opponent and rival, Democrat Stephen A. Douglas, Lincoln spoke out against the expansion of slavery, but lost the U.S. Senate race to Douglas. Lincoln rose to national fame because of this. In 1860, Lincoln became a Republican to stop the spread of slavery west and ran for president. Though he gained very little support in the slaveholding states of the South, he swept the North and was elected president in 1860. After Lincoln's election in 1860, 7 Southern states had seceded and created the Confederate States of America, and after Southern troops fired on his supply ships in Fort Sumter, civil war had begun. 3 years later, after the Emancipation Proclamation and little ground gained, the Battle of Gettysburg took place. It had a major effect on the outcome of the war because of how many Confederate troops were dead, but also a lot of Union soldiers, too. That's when President Lincoln was asked to deliver remarks at the official dedication ceremony for the National Cemetery in Gettysburg. Edward Everett of Massachusetts would be the keynote speaker at the ceremony. Lincoln was only given a few weeks to prepare for the speech. Lincoln did not accept many public invitations to speak, so he saw it as a big opportunity to show his point of view on the war. Edward Everett spoke for just under 2 hours, and then it was Lincoln's turn. 467 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But, in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth.